This is my experience with postpartum psychosis, which is not as openly talked about as postpartum depression. So what is postpartum psychosis? I looked it up online so I could give you a proper definition. It is a mental illness that can affect a person's sense of reality shortly after giving birth. Symptoms include, but are not limited to, hallucinations, delusions, paranoia, and bizarre behavior. So I first want to say also, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a healthcare practitioner. If you or somebody you know is experiencing these symptoms, call 911 and reach out to a doctor. Okay, with that being said, for me, right after giving birth, I just felt off. That's how I kept describing it to my husband when he was asking me what was going on. I felt like I was completely paralyzed. I really couldn't think. I just felt such confusion. I felt just lost. I felt like I was in a daze. I felt like I was in a daydream, and everything also felt like off kilter. I don't know how else to describe this, but the closest thing I can think of is if you've drank a lot, if you're completely intoxicated, the way the room might spin or you might feel topsy-turvy, that's what was going on. Of course, I hadn't been drinking. So I just remember saying to my husband, I'm like, I feel off. And he's like, what does that mean? I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I was just like so confused myself. And in talking to my doctor with my follow-up visits, it was deemed that I had postpartum depression because she didn't really understand what I was saying. And I was really embarrassed to be completely transparent because my symptoms were progressing so quickly. It was like rapidly progressing. So at one point I was breastfeeding my daughter and I saw black bugs all over her. Of course I panicked, was like this, thinking there's bugs all over us. As quick as I seen them, that's as quick as they disappeared. So clearly I luckily hadn't lost complete sense of reality to where I recognized at that point, oh my gosh, I'm seeing things, something's wrong. I'd look in the hallway, I'd see a shadowy dark figure, I'd look away, I'd look back, it'd be gone. And it started messing with my head because I'm a Christian, so of course my first thoughts, with me not being in the right state of mind already, was like, is this spiritual warfare? Is this witchcraft? Is this... It just went down the rabbit hole, and I was very scared to talk to my husband about it, but I thank God was not completely out of touch with reality. So I had to come clean to him. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing things that aren't there. I'm scared. I need help. Please help me reach out to like a doctor or something. I don't know what I'm doing. Because those were my main symptoms. So I was paranoia. At one point, he's like, okay, maybe you just got to get out of the house. Let's go for a walk, because this was during summertime. He's like, let's get some fresh air. You've been inside for a long time. You went through so much trauma with the C-section, with just childbirth, with everything. Let's just get some fresh air. So I'm like, okay, that sounds good. The moment we were getting close to the door, I told him, I was like, I'm scared. And of course he's like, what do you mean? What are you scared? What are you scared of? I couldn't explain it to him. I just said, I just feel scared. I feel scared. And what was happening was I actually felt extreme paranoia about everything. I felt absolutely terrified. I felt like people were trying to come after me, come after my family. There was extreme paranoia. I had no way to express that to him. I just felt completely, I don't know if the word is catatonic. I feel like that's what I'm trying to say, but I don't know if that's the proper word. Look it up. What I'm trying to say is like completely just like, you just can't do anything. So hallucinations, delusions, paranoia, just bizarre behavior. So it got to the point also that I was holding my daughter and I went to feed her, and my husband was looking at me in the morning the one day and he's like, are you okay? And I looked at him, I said, I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, what do you mean you don't know? I was like, I've fed her before, like breastfeeding, and I've held her before, but right now I don't know what I'm doing. And that's all I could get out. And so he was like, he put his hands out, he's like, please give me our daughter. And thank God he took her from my arms, and I just broke down. I couldn't say anything. I was just stuck in my own mind of just confusion. I don't know what was going on, who I am, where I was. I just felt utter confusion, and I broke down. And later, when I was able to have a bit more of clarity, I guess, to express to him, I'm like, I've fed her before, and I felt like I just didn't know what I was doing. I've held her before. I felt like I didn't know how to hold her. Like, I don't know how to describe it. These are things that I know, but in that moment, I felt like my brain was mush, and my body was following suit with what was going on up here. What also became very concerning was I started having these commands inside my voice to harm myself. So for example, we were driving in the car, and then my husband was driving, and I started hearing in my head, jump out of the vehicle, jump out of the vehicle. The more that I was ignoring it, the louder it was getting, jump out of the vehicle. Again, luckily, by the grace of God, I was not completely like out of my mind, I guess. that I recognized that that is not okay and not anything I wanted to do. And I shared with my husband what was going on. So clearly he's like, oh my gosh, this is not okay. We got to figure this out. And so not only that, but then we went to church for the first time in a while, and I was on the second floor because it's too loud for my daughter's ears since she was a newborn, and I was hearing in my head, jump off the balcony, jump off the balcony. Of course, I didn't do it, again, by the grace of God, because I recognize that's not okay. What's so scary about psychosis is anybody can hear these things and just act on them. You're not in the right state of mind. You don't know what's going on. You're literally, you feel like you're in the scariest nightmare daydream. Everything feels off kilter. It feels weird. So if you ever experience somebody going through that, if you experience it or you see somebody going through a mental health crisis, please don't judge them. Don't, oh, this person's crazy or they must be dangerous. Have empathy, please, for the love of God, because it's the absolutely most terrifying thing you could go through. So with all that being said, again, by the grace of God, my husband helped me to receive the proper care. We reached out to a psychiatrist. I got a new doctor. I started antipsychotics and a mood stabilizer, and slowly moving up the dosages, I became stable, and it's now 6 months since all this happened, and I'm the most stable I've ever been. I also want to share that I had bipolar type 1 disorder confirmed as a result of me having postpartum psychosis, because it's not always going to be the case, but it's very common for people with bipolar schizophrenia to be at a higher risk of experiencing postpartum psychosis. Again, I'm not a doctor though, so please talk to a doctor, healthcare practitioner if you want to know more. Let's see, I think that's everything I wanted to say here. I also have ADHD. Gonna throw it out there. So my mind, just by itself, I lose my train of thought a lot. I think that's all I was trying to say. Yeah, if anybody has any questions or wants to know more, drop a comment, send me a message. Again, I am in no way trying to say I know it all, I'm an expert. No, I'm just a first-time mom that experienced this. It was very scary, and I wish that there was more people out there talking about this, because I just want to be transparent. I felt so crazy. I felt out of my mind, literally. I felt like the most terrible mom, because I had to say to doctors, to staff, to people what was going on, and just feeling like the most horrible mother, horrible person in the world, because I couldn't control myself. I couldn't control any of this. And luckily, by being transparent, I received the proper care, and everybody was so compassionate. They were not judgmental. They just wanted to see me get better and wanted to see my family thrive as a result. So yeah, if there's anybody out there right now seeing this, thank you for listening this long. I know it's a long video, so I pray to God that whoever was meant to see this, hear this, will come across this video and will actually have listened to it up to this point. If that's you, you're awesome. Appreciate you. God bless.